If you saw the last video I did on this, you'll know that I'm trying to review as many movies as I possibly can in 2018, but there's a lot of them that I didn't, for one reason or another, do a full review for, so I'm going to try and cover them in videos like this, where I just give brief little thoughts on each of those movies. Here's another 16 of them.
Put the bunny back in the box.
Okay, so kicking this off straight away with A Wrinkle in Time. What a weird film. What a very weird film this is. I can't say I hated it. I certainly didn't like it. I certainly didn't love it. But it was intriguing. There was enough here to kind of keep my attention for most of the time, even though I had no idea what was going on for a lot of it. And sort of a giant Oprah Winfrey, just what's that about? What's so much of this about? And I think that because I haven't read the book. I wasn't even overly familiar with the book. It's not a book that's been drawn to my attention at all. So I had no idea what the source material was about. I'm not sure I want to read it after watching this movie. This movie didn't do a lot to make me want to go and check out the book. But yeah, there's some solid performances in here. I like the actors, like the kids in this are really good. Chris Pine's great. So there's a lot of good things about it, but it's just such a weird film that I can't really formulate any kind of opinion on it. It's just so nuts for most of the runtime. Just a very, very bizarre film. I'm going to give A Wrinkle in Time a 6 out of 10. Super Troopers 2. I liked the first Super Troopers well enough. This was awful. I hated this movie. There was nothing funny about it at all, and I kind of want to go and check out the first Super Troopers again just to see whether I just caught it at a good time, maybe, because if it's anything like this one, I have no idea how I enjoyed it. The jokes don't work here. It just tries to be far too silly while kind of not knowing how to do comedy, even. Like, the jokes just don't work in this one at all. Everyone's just overplaying things so much that you can't take anything that's going on, I would say, seriously. It's not the kind of film where you're supposed to take it seriously, but it's hard to invest in anybody. It's hard to invest in any of the characters. Instead, it just seems like a bunch of actors on the screen just having fun to themselves without kind of letting us all in on the joke. Yeah, not a great film at all. Did not enjoy it. Probably one of the worst I've seen in 2018. It's certainly a contender for the worst list when it comes to the end of the year. I'm going to give Super Troopers 2 a 2 out of 10. Tully. Tully surprised me. I don't know why it did, because the writers in this, I know they can do good films. I know they can write good films. So I don't know why this took me by surprise, but I really enjoyed Tully. And so much of that is down to the performance by Charlize Theron, who's just incredible in this. Such a good, one of the best performances I think I've seen from her. Like, the film itself is a very, very sweet film. It's a very nice film. It has some dark moments in there, and it just really takes its subject matter and just explores it in such a sort of tactful way. Really good film. The script is sharp. There's some moments in this that really, really made me laugh. Particularly a scene in the office where they're talking about her son. There's just a line in that scene that's just absolutely floored me. And it's got a pretty solid twist in it as well that I perhaps naively didn't see coming. Just, yeah, a really good film. If you've not seen Tully, definitely check it out. It's worth your time. As I say, Charlize Theron is fantastic in this. It's worth watching for her alone. Everybody else is good as well, but she 100% steals the show in this one. Just fantastic performance from her. I'm going to give Tully an 8 out of 10. Annihilation. So here in the UK, Annihilation came straight out onto Netflix, which is annoying because this is the sort of movie that I wanted to see on the biggest screen possible. Because it's a stunning looking movie. The movie just looks gorgeous throughout. And it's a shame that we just got it on Netflix. I mean, it was HDR on Netflix, so, one advantage for it. But yeah, I really wanted to see it on the big screen. And it's a great film as well. It's really good. Very weird, very odd in places, but it's got some of the best visuals I've seen. There's a moment towards the end, and I won't go into spoilers, but it's Natalie Portman's character interacting with something else, and it's just such a fantastic looking scene. It's just almost haunting. There's something hypnotizing about this film at times. It just kind of draws you in and holds you. Solid performances. Natalie Portman's great in this. Everybody really is good. Tessa Thompson. There's nobody really that puts any kind of foot wrong in Annihilation. It's an imaginative film. It's very clever. It kind of demands reviewing. I've only seen it once so far. I can't wait to go and watch it again. Yeah, this film blew me away. I was very, very surprised by it. I had no idea what to expect from Annihilation going into it, but when I watched it, I loved it. I'm going to give Annihilation a 9 out of 10. Journeyman. Now, Journeyman's a movie that wasn't on my radar at all. I had no plans to watch it, mainly because I think I'd heard about it, but I hadn't been really given attention. Like, I'd not seen anything big about this movie. It just kind of passed me by. And then somebody in the comments from the last video, Pajugs, PJGS, can't really pronounce your username, buddy. Sorry, but thank you for telling me to watch this film, because I'm so glad I did. This is such a great film for Paddy Considine. He's so good in this. He wrote this, he directed it, he starred in it. This is his movie, 100%. There are other great people in it as well. The new Doctor, Jodie Whittaker's in this as well, and she's fantastic. But it's Paddy Considine who just blew me away in this. It's the story of a boxer, and he finishes his last fight, but he gets a head injury in it, and a few hours afterwards he collapses, and when he wakes up he's a very different person. Like, he's not completely with it anymore. He's undergone a massive change in his personality. He's volatile, he's violent, and he's just not in control of himself anymore. And Considine just nails every single aspect of this. It's one of the best performances I've seen in such a long time. I think the movie itself has a few problems. Like, I think it needed to just show what's going on with everybody else. Like, Jodie Whittaker's character, she's missing for quite a lot of it, and I was just as invested in her as I was with the main character in this one. With Matty Burton, the boxer, I loved his story, but I wanted to see more of her as well, and it was a shame to take her out. But this movie chose to just kind of have the camera almost in on Matty throughout the entire duration of this. So every look he gives, every glance, every moment of speech, every shocking moment of violence, and there are bits of violence here that just kind of come out of nowhere and are really jarring. It's a very personal film, and it's a movie about boxing where boxing's almost an afterthought. Like, it's there at the start, and it's played up in the normal kind of boxing way. But after that, it's just about this guy's struggle to get himself back again. And yeah, just a beautiful film. If you haven't seen it, check it out, because I had no idea about it really at all, and I'm so glad I watched it. So yeah, please check out Journeyman to see one of the best performances of 2018 so far. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. From one of the best to one of the worst, Show Dogs. So one of the downsides of trying to watch as many movies this year as I possibly can is that I have to watch a lot of shit, and Show Dogs is shit. It's one of the worst movies I've seen, not just this year, but kind of any year, really. It's just awful. Awful in every possible way. Like, the talking dogs in here, some of them look downright terrifying. Like, they don't look convincing as talking animals, they just look hideous. Like, some of them really creeped me out. Will Arnett must have pissed somebody off at some point to be stuck with this. Like, I've no idea how he could have read this script and thought this was a good idea, because there's not even really anything entertaining in here for kids. Because yeah, this is predominantly a kids' film. There's not a lot for adults at all, but kids' film can still be enjoyed by adults. This one, no. Nothing about it works. It's not funny in the slightest. The voice performances are just annoying rather than fun. There's no sort of cohesion to the plot whatsoever. It's just awful film. I was hoping it was just going to be one of those that's, really bad, but there's some things you can find to enjoy about it. There was nothing I could enjoy about this at all. Natasha Lyonne, maybe. She's alright in this one. She at least comes out of it with some kind of dignity intact, but everybody else fails miserably. It's a 1 out of 10 for Show Dogs. It's one of the few ones I think I've ever given, but it fully deserves it. It's awful. Terrible. Ghost Stories. So Ghost Stories is a film that stars, amongst others, Andy Nyman, Martin Freeman, Paul Whitehouse, and it's a film that's kind of set in 3 parts-ish, and it tells 3 different supernatural sort of stories, and this is a very creepy film at times. Like, I don't get overly scared in horrors. Sort of jump scare horrors don't really do it for me, but when there's just suspension being built, when there's just creepiness and just really just unnerving moments, they're the ones that get me, and Ghost Stories has them in spades, particularly in the first story that it tells. It's just really, really scary film at times. The tension that everything's built up absolutely perfectly. The stories themselves are very, very creepy. Really good film, and it's all very effective. The only thing for me is when we get to the end, and I won't talk spoilers, but there's a reveal at the end that kind of connects all the stories together in a way, and I wasn't a big fan of that, which is a bit of an issue because it was the main point of the whole movie, but I much preferred it when we just had these individual stories. As soon as we found out what was going on, it hurts it on a rewatch. And I can't really say too much more without spoiling it, but if you see it, you'll know what I mean. But yeah, a very good film. I wasn't a fan so much of the end. Like, I kind of admire what they did with it. I like-ish what they did, but just as an overall product, it affects it. But yeah, I did enjoy Ghost Stories quite a lot. It's definitely one I recommend checking out. 8 out of 10. Molly's Game. So I think Molly's Game might have come out in 2017 in America. Not sure. We got it this year, and yeah, it's a really good film. Idris Elba is great in this. Jessica Chastain steals it 100%. She's so good in this role. I think it's a really well cast film, and it's a really intriguing story as well. Aaron Sorkin movies are always well written. Like, there's always a really fun script, and this one's no different. And I kind of love these sort of true life stories, these kind of biopics of sorts of people that are doing some dodgy things and they get found out. I always find it very, very intriguing. And yeah, this one's done really, really well. There's not really a huge amount more I've got to say about Molly's Game. Just a very good film. Really enjoyed it. 8 out of 10. And on to another biopic sort of film now with I, Tonya. And this one I'm pretty sure did come out last year in other places. But again, 2018 was when we got it. Margot Robbie is an actress that I've loved since Neighbours. She was great as Donna Freeman. And she's doing well in America now. She's doing well in the movies. I will say that I think some of her choices that she makes with regards to movies are a bit off. Like, I think she needs to start picking better projects. But I, Tonya was a very, very good one. It was one of her better ones. I think the movie as a whole, I didn't really understand the message that it was trying to give. Like, are we supposed to sympathise with Tonya? Are we supposed to be against her? It kind of didn't really nail that tone, I don't think. It didn't really kind of give me a solid answer. Maybe it wasn't meant to, but it just felt like it was trying to kind of push us into one direction without giving us enough reason to go there. But the performances in this one make it. As I say, Margot Robbie, absolutely fantastic, and everybody's really good in this film. It's just very, very enjoyable. There's a lot to like about it, and just the determination of the character of Tonya, and I like the spirit that she has as well, and Margot Robbie sort of embodies that perfectly. Alison Janney is fantastic as Tonya's mother, just this kind of a horrible, vicious woman of sorts. Like, she's really fun to watch, and yeah, it is just a fun film. 7 out of 10 for I, Tonya. Downsizing. So this one was a movie that I was really looking forward to because the trailers promised one thing, the movie gave us another. I thought we were going to have a really kind of fun movie about people shrinking, about tiny little people living tiny little lives. It looked like it was going to be a comedy. It looked like it was going to be a very funny one, and the actual movie that we got didn't lean into that at all. It was a very different film to the one that we were expecting, and that wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing if that film was good. This wasn't, I don't think. It was very, very boring. That was my problem with Downsizing. It was such a dull film. It should have been funny. It should have embraced the absurdity of what was going on, but by the end of it, the fact that these people were shrinking was almost like an afterthought. Like, it wasn't really central to the plot at all. It could just as easily have been these people move off to a new community and then they go from there. Like, it doesn't embrace the silliness of the actual concept. Yeah, and the end result is just very, very dull. It meanders along. It feels overly long. It's not overly interesting when it easily could have been. This was a real disappointment for me. I'm going to give Downsizing a 4 out of 10. Book Club. So Book Club is a movie that has something to do with 50 Shades of Grey, and it's one that I actually enjoyed. I never thought I'd enjoy anything to do with 50 Shades of Grey on the big screen, and I did with this. I don't have a huge lot to say about Book Club, because it's not one of those films that really needs that much discussion about. It's just a nice film. It's a nice film full of good performances, and it's fun to watch. It's sweet watching these people go about their lives and get hooked on this book, and I think the book's trash myself, but it's kind of... It doesn't make me want to read it, but it kind of makes me understand why people like it as much as they do. Yeah, just a really fun, sweet movie. Cast is really good here. It's really funny in places. I think the first half is much stronger than the second. It does lose steam a little bit. It kind of loses its way somewhat in the second half. But yeah, you can certainly do a lot worse than checking out Book Club. It's one that I wasn't expecting to like at all, really, and it surprised me in a lot of ways. 7 out of 10 for Book Club. Adrift. I think Adrift's main problem is that is how it tells the story. There's a lot of really good stuff here. Like, a lot of really good stuff. I love the stuff on the boat. Like, I'm a sucker for storm movies or water movies. Anything set on the ocean in a storm, like, I love. Perfect Storm. Really enjoy that film. And this one had moments like that. Like, Shailene Woodley is really good. Like, she carries this movie. Sam Claflin's kind of more along for the ride on this one. He doesn't get anywhere near as much to sink his teeth into, but Woodley absolutely does, and she does a fantastic job with everything that she's given. And the stuff on the boat I found to be really compelling, and the storm looked great as well. But the problem is that the movie kind of starts towards the end and keeps cutting back. Like, we see them on the boat, then we see how they met, and we kind of see the two stories running parallel to each other, which means that every time we're getting to a good bit of the movie, every time it's getting to the exciting stuff on the boat, we cut back again and go further back in time. This would have been so much better, save for one little twist moment that they had, if it would just told the story in a linear fashion. If it had just, had them meeting, let us get to know these people as a couple, and then just follow the adventure as they go out on the boat and see what happens to them. I don't know why they chose to just keep cutting through time as much as they do in this one. It takes the momentum out of it. It takes the steam out of the film. And yeah, as I say, every time we get into a good bit, as soon as you cut back again to the past, it's just, oh, come on. This was the good bit. This is the stuff I was waiting for. So yeah, a missed opportunity. There's a lot of good moments in Adrift. There's a lot I liked about it, but just the way it told the story just fell flat for me. I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. Tag. Tag was a film I was really looking forward to because the cast, I love all of them. I love all of the main people in this film. Isla Fisher ended up stealing it for me. I think she ended up being the best thing in it. And so maybe Jeremy Renner. I think it's a tie between the two of them because he's fantastic. He's responsible for some of the funniest moments of this movie. His character seems to have embraced the absurd of it all, as does Renner himself. He gets how silly this is. And Tag works best when it's silly. When it's just a fun, silly movie about these old friends who are just refusing to stop playing this game. When it does that, it's absolutely great. But the problem is that Tag just veers off into a very sort of almost nasty direction. Like it stops being fun as such when you have sort of a joke and a lie about miscarriage, for example. And it's a very, very sharp turn to do that. It becomes very mean-spirited in places. And I really don't think that this movie needed that. He needed to embrace the silliness and the fun of this game and of friendship. And as I say, when it does that, it's a great deal of fun. There's a lot to like about Tag, but it's just in that last act, it just takes this left turn. And as I say, it just becomes very mean-spirited. And I wasn't a huge fan of that. I mean, I'm fine with dark comedy. I'm fine with offensive comedy. I have no issues with it at all. But it needs to be when you're expecting it. Like, when you know that's the kind of movie you're going into. If it had been like that the whole way through, then yeah, fine, that's the kind of movie that we'd go in to expect. But it didn't. It was very nice-natured. It was a bit overly violent in places, like it was a bit over the top, but it was never nasty with how it did it, and it did turn out to be that way in the end. But say though, the cast lift it. The cast are very good. All of them have great chemistry together. There's not a single person that I can really fault in this at all. As Isla Fisher had me in stitches so much. I think she is the best thing in this. She embraces the movie in such a great way. I really enjoyed her in this. But yeah, just overall it ended up being a bit of a mixed bag. So I'm going to give Tag a 7 out of 10. Action Point. Action Point made me sad. It made me sad that people like Johnny Knoxville and the Jackass crew, who gave me so much enjoyment when I was younger, have come to this. Because Action Point, it just fails on every single level. Like the stunts, like they really got hurt in this movie. Like Johnny Knoxville was saying, he got really hurt quite a few times making this. And for what? Because this is a film that is pretty much laugh-free. Like, all of the shock of what these guys do has just been diluted at this point, particularly when it's done in a story like this. Like, you look at, was it Bad Grandpa? Was it Bad Grandpa or Dirty Grandpa? I always get the two of them confused, but you know the one I mean. That was a really funny film. Like, the story was good. It was almost sweet in nature, and some of the stunts that they were doing involving the public and stuff was really fun to watch. Action Point, just the whole narrative of it. Like, I can see what they were going for. I could see why they think it would be a good idea. But it's just so disappointing that they missed the mark quite as badly as they did here. It's not funny. Nobody's likeable. It's not really that original at all. As I say, the stunts themselves, which Johnny Knoxville and everybody they're known for, like, they're good at the stunt stuff. They're just not that interesting. Like, they're not that fun. They're not that shocking anymore. This really disappointed me. It's probably one of my biggest disappointments from the year, I think. Just a real letdown from people that I really liked and I've really admired for silly reasons for a long, long time. It just shows how far they've fallen, and I really hope that they can kind of come back together again and give us something great, because they're still capable of it. They still are. Like, there's moments where you can see there's still a bit of a spark in them. They're still capable of giving us a great movie and great entertainment, but this was not the project to do it. I'm going to give Action Point a 3 out of 10. Bad Samaritan. So, Bad Samaritan is a movie that I had heard absolutely terrible things about, and maybe that helped. Maybe that helped that I went in expecting absolutely nothing, because I really enjoyed it. And that could well be because of the performances, because I really like David Tennant, because I really like Robert Sheehan. If you've never seen Misfits, by the way, the UK show, watch it because it's great, and he's the best thing in. It's only in the first 2 seasons, but he's the best thing in those seasons. It's so much fun. And he's really fun in this as well. I don't think it's a particularly great film. Like, I don't even know if I'd call it good, but I certainly would say it was enjoyable. There's a lot to like. David Tennant seems to be having a great time playing this absolute nutcase of a villain. Like, he's very good at playing the villain. Like, Jessica Jones is a prime example of that. But yeah, there's not a lot to this guy, other than that he's just nuts. Like, he's completely insane. They do try to give layers to him. They do try to kind of show us why he is the way that he is. But they don't do an overly great job at it, but it's enjoyable. It is. It's very silly. It's very over the top. It's very overblown, but at the same time, I can't say that I didn't like it, because I did. I had a good time watching it. There's some really good suspense moments. There's a few jumpy moments that I didn't see coming. Yeah, give Bad Samaritan a chance. It's got absolutely slammed, I think. I've seen some 1-star reviews about, and it's definitely not at that level. Like, as I say, I don't think it's particularly great, but it's nowhere near as bad as some people are saying as it is. I'm going to give Bad Samaritan a 6 out of 10. Which brings us to the last movie on this list, which is Upgrade. Upgrade, we got very, very late over here, and it's a shame, because this is a great film. It's really good. Just my favourite thing about this is sort of how great Tom Hardy... It's not Tom Hardy? Is it? Really? I know, it's Logan Marshall Green, but he looks like Tom Hardy, right? He really does. But just how the face that he pulls when he's doing these fights, because he is not in control of his body during the fight scenes, and he's so good at just having this bewildered look on his face while his body is just causing absolute carnage left, right and centre. It makes the action sequences so much fun to watch. Like, the way he just stands up and the camera follows as he stands, just little moments like this that just show a certain style the director of this has, and it just works absolutely perfectly. It's very, very violent. There's certain scenes where even I had to kind of go, oof, and look away a little bit from, and I don't even look away during many of the Saw movies. So that took me by surprise a little bit. And I just really liked the overall story as well. I mean, it's not 100% original. It does touch on a lot of things that have been told before in other ways, but I think it has its own sort of unique spin on it, that it makes it seem more original than it actually is. I like the world building, I like the way it's set up. I love the ending. I think the ending is really, really good. And for me, this didn't kind of let up steam the whole way through. Like, the whole movie, I was utterly captivated by it. I think, to say, Logan Marshall Green's amazing. I think he gives an incredible performance. There's a few missteps, like the guy who invents STEM, which is the name of the sort of implant thing that goes in him, the computer system. Like, it's a bit of a strange performance from him. Like, he almost kind of seems like he doesn't want to be there in a way. Like, he doesn't utterly convince as this genius guy, but at the same time, he's one of the only things that I had any kind of issue with. I really, really enjoyed Upgrade. I don't think it got a wide release over here. I think it comes out August 31st, I think, so it's coming out very, very soon. If you can see it, do go check it out, because it's certainly worth your time. One of the biggest surprises for me of the year. It's a movie that I heard good things about, but I wasn't expecting to enjoy it quite as much as I did. I'm going to give Upgrade an 8 out of 10. So that's another 16 movies done. I think there'll be one more video like this towards the end of the year, because there's still a few more. I've already got kind of the workings of another list going, so I want to try and just review as much as I possibly can. And I've got a feeling the next one's not going to be a huge amount of fun, because I've been saving a lot of the terrible ones. I say saving, I've been putting them off. So expect things like Death Wish on the next video like this. Can I just, quick heads up on that one. Seen it already. Not going to have many nice things to say about it at all. But thank you very much for watching, and do let me know what you thought about these movies in the comments below. Let me know. Let's talk film. Hit like and hit subscribe if you did enjoy this video. It's always nice to see likes. It's always great to see subscribes as well. So yeah, do that if you want to. You can follow me on Twitter at JoeJulians. Thank you very much for watching. Look out for more reviews soon, and I'll see you on the next video. Thanks again.